Make room for Javi.
Found it. Alright, so I was going to do a little bit of trim work on the house, but as you might be able to hear, it's raining. So I'm going to do a little cleanup in the garage. This is the garage currently. It's somewhat of a mess. I got to pick up some stuff. This stuff I got to reorganize. I got to clean up this whole area. I got to clean up this whole area, those areas. And I gotta completely empty out that area. I'm gonna finish another section of the warehouse that was left undone. See, this piece here goes here, like this one does, with another piece like this on top, and then it all gets screwed in. Then it gets sealed with spray foam or regular foam or whatever foam. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Welcome to my Project a Day video, where I explain a project or tell a story each day for a year, and I attempt to complete my shop. This is day 22 of 365, and today's project is in Quadrant 2 to finish installing the base and seal Quadrant 2. And today's story is on my go-kart days in the 70s. Now, while my family was not uber rich, it may have been considered very well off by most people's standards. They weren't great at holding money, as we tended to live for the moment. We spent quite a bit, and we lost quite a bit at times. But as a general contractor with large contracts from time to time, we had bursts of decent income. Now, as my parents had their wealth and belongings stripped from them when they came from Cuba, they worked hard here to rebuild, and as a result, they would swear that their kids would want for nothing. I never fault them for not teaching us the value of a dollar and budgeting for the future, as they were teenagers when they left everything. Their desire for us to have everything may have left out that the struggle is often what you need in order to grow financially. That, and the fact that I was an intelligent, albeit immature kid growing up. I should have known better. Regardless, I received a go-kart for Christmas when I was 13. We had a public elementary school on the block behind us. The school was small at the time, holding grades 1 through 6, and at the opposite end of the land. But the land was 11 acres. I, my brothers, and all the kids in the neighborhood had a great big field to play in. We called it the park. In those days, there were 3 walk-in entrances and 2 entrances for cars. To us, we always saw it empty because we went to our own schools at the time when it was filled with students. Well, that's that. This stuff is sticky and annoying and gets everywhere. Okay, folks, I did everything I was going to do here. There's a beautiful view of the house. Isn't that nice? I'll continue the cleanup now. I would play basketball, baseball, and dodgeball there. I would fly my model airplanes, model helicopters, and rockets there. And I would ride my go-kart. And I loved that go-kart. It was a simple 3.5 horsepower go-kart, and there were 2 or 3 kids in the area around my age that also had go-karts. Kenny, Jesus, and Mike Lauder. Of all my friends, I miss Mike Lauder quite a bit. He lived behind us right across from the park. Mike had a 25 horsepower racing go-kart. He turned me on to rebuilding engines, changing clutches, and repairing the go-kart when something would go wrong. The way I abused it, it often did. My dad and I would rebuild the engine a couple of times in the Florida room, as I remember. I snapped a few clutches because I was very impatient. I used to floor the go-kart without waiting for the clutch to warm up on cold days. With Mike and often Jesus' help, later I'd swap out my 3.5 for a 5 horsepower engine and tie a thick fishing line on the throttle to bypass the governor on the engine. I would streak down the street at close to 50 miles an hour. That was nothing compared to my racing days at Michelle's Kartway, where the track was made for it. But the majority of the time, it was me and my friends riding at the park. While Mike was just on the other side of the block, Jesus was on the other side of the school. Regardless, I would drive to each of their houses as a young teenager on the go-kart prior to being old enough for a driver's license. Both Mike and Jesus were fellow computer nerds, so I had reason to hang out other than riding karts. Those were some great times. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. I enjoy reading them, particularly when they're pleasant. Please subscribe, and as always, have a great day.
Make room for Javi.